Good afternoon. This is a hearing of the Chatham Conservation Commission being held on July 24th, 2024, in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Chatham Wetlands Protection Bylaw and Regulations. My name is Karen Lattin, and I serve as chair. Today's hearing is being broadcast live on Xfinity Channel 18 and is being recorded on the on-demand archives available on the town's website. It is being conducted in person, by phone, and by video conference. The agenda, instructions on how to attend, and copies of documents for review are posted on the town's website. To all participants, whether attending by phone or online, please remain muted unless you have been recognized by the chair. When recognized, please identify yourself for the record. If you're attending by phone, you can mute and unmute by using *6. If you're online and you are not a commissioner, please keep your camera turned off unless you have been recognized. Indicate that you wish to speak by using the raise hand feature. So that we have a record of a quorum, I will now ask each commissioner to indicate their presence. Vice Chair Elise Gordon.
Present.
Janet Williams.
Present.
Cheryl Meservey.
Present.
Eric Hilbert.
Present.
Associate Member Bob Delvecchio.
Present.
And I'm here. We have established that we have a quorum. Before we begin the the wrong conference number, just as information, had been published on mytown.gov, but it has been corrected. The correct number is 508-945-4410 with the conference ID 936580893#. All right, before we begin the agenda, are there any announcements about any continuances today, Paul? Is he on?
Yeah. He's muted.
Oh, Paul, you're muted.
Hello.
You got it now.
Okay, having a little confusion. For whatever reason, just be aware that if anyone calls into the office, it's going to bump me out of this meeting. I can't fix it right now.
Okay.
All right. So,
Well, that's a problem.
where are we? Are you asking for continuances?
I'm asking about continuances.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, Commissioners. We have two requests for continuances. The first is Zero Crosswind Farm, Joseph Jaramillo and Hannah Ewart, map 10J, parcel 17A, LP 36 at DEP number SE 103688. This is a single-family proposed dwelling. The applicants requested a continuance to August 7th. The second one is 97 Tillaby, 97 Tillaby Nominee Trust, DEP number SE 103690. This is an emergency repair and a notice of intent application that's been filed for a revetment. The applicants requested a continuance to August 7th. Those are the only two continuances.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
At this point, Paul Whiteman, Chatham's conservation agent, will now lead us through the agenda.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First on the agenda is a submitted field change request. The town is the applicant, 90 Bridge Street is the address, map 14A, parcel 2-11, DEP number SE 103543. Redevelopment of an existing recreational commercial boating facility, including aquaculture facility, ADA, accessible transit, berthing facilities, enhanced off-road facilities. The field change is to request additional 11 timber fender piles along the bulkhead west of the fixed pier, identical to those already in the license for the east side of the fixed pier. I did an on-site with Ted and the applicant construction folks. This was a request made by the Harbor Master's office to buttress the wall and basically add these 11 timber fender piles. We've already sort of reviewed it, and I would recommend approving the field change request. Ted has reviewed it, and we're pretty much ready to go once you vote.
Great, thank you. I think we also have some people here who might want to speak.
Okey-doke.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. My name is Jason Holm, the Harbor Master for Chatham. I'm not sure if I got to meet you guys yet, so certainly appreciate the invite. Glad Ted's on vacation, so I could step in and say hello. As Paul alluded to, it's an active project that's already in process. I applied for and received a minor modification of the Chapter 91 license as well for this. Really, it's a safety and kind of function feature. The bottom's already disturbed with the minor dredging permit, so it's just kind of continuing the piles down on the west side and then the addition of the 12th one in the corner where there was a gap in space there. So I didn't know if there was any questions from the commission.
Anybody have any questions? No? Okay. Thought this one would be pretty easy. All right, we're ready for a motion.
I move that we approve the field change request for 90 Bridge Street, Town of Chatham.
Second.
Second.
Okay, Cheryl?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay, you're all set.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Paul.
Okay, next on the agenda is another field change request. The address is 227 Vineyard Avenue, in Azanaro, map 11C, parcel D131, DEP number SE103471. The project was a garage addition and invasive species control. This was an after-the-fact field change request for the existing low native New England fieldstone wall for stabilization of the garage and to protect the site from erosion caused by wind, extreme high tides, and stormwater runoff. I would recommend continuing this. We have ongoing discussions with the building department. There are issues about the conservancy bylaw and whether or not fill was added to the site. And at this point, I spoke to the building commissioner yesterday. I know David Clark is involved. He submitted some information, but at this point, we don't have a definitive decision from the building inspector. I did approve the wall extension. The issue really is before we approve this field change request for the extension, we have to address the issue of the additional soil that was added to the property. The applicant says it was just moved around on the site, but until I get the okay from the building commissioner, I would just recommend we continue this. Let's try the next available hearing.
Okay, so August 7th.
Yes.
That's fine. I'm ready for a motion.
I move that we continue 227 Vineyard Avenue to
Second.
August 2nd, August 7th, 2024.
Second.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I say aye. All right. We're ready, Paul, for the next.
Okay, next on the agenda is a requested amended order of conditions. This is a Phase 2 request. The address is 0 and 17 Billings Road, Alex Pushkarov. I'm terrible with names. Map 7A, parcel 6-S8 and 5-S7, DEP number SE103310. The project is proposed repair of an existing sheet pile wall. Again, this is a Phase 2 request.
All right. We do have an amended order. Do any commissioners have anything to add to the order that was published on MyTownGov? Not at all. Does anybody who's a representative have anything to say, anything to say about it? All right, we're ready for a motion. Yes.
There's a question in the finding number 10.
Oh.
We had been waiting for a response from Natural Heritage. Paul, do we get anything? Is that?
That's right.
To the best of my knowledge, Janet, we have not, and as you know, the rule is if we haven't received it within 30 days, it's automatically waived.
Do you want to put that in there?
And it seems We've been more than 30 days, so
Yes.
I think we can take that comment out. And
Just take it out, okay.
how about the minor mod to Chapter 91?
As far as I know, that's, that's in place. And again, a lot of times we don't get the NHESP ones because it's a amendment, so they've already chimed in once if they have, and they tend not to come in on amended ones. As far as the 91 issue, I believe that is, it's okay at this point.
Just to be safe, we put in a condition that they can't start work until a modification has been issued.
Right.
That'd be good.
Okay.
So we will add that. Then we are ready for a motion.
I move that we accept the amended order of conditions as revised for 0 and 17 Billings Road.
Second.
Cheryl? Aye. Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay, we're ready for the next.
Okay, moving down to orders of conditions. The first one is 108 Beach Plum Road. R. Paul Detweiler, map 4D, parcel 23, SE10, 3674. The project is demolition of an existing single-family dwelling and cottage and construction of a new dwelling and cottage within land subject to coastal storm flowage. DBA approved on 5/23.
Hello?
Good afternoon, David Clark, Clark Engineering. I think we're just waiting for zoning board of appeals to approve it, and
I have down that there was a special permit by the Board of Appeals granted May 23rd.
yes. So
So-
that's,
Okay.
so we're just waiting for the
So we're
order.
all
now.
set?
Yeah.
Hadn't been issued, I guess, right? David?
The special permit was approved, yes.
Why are we waiting then?
We're not.
We're not.
Hopefully-
I think we're going to approve, vote to approve
Okay.
this. Correct? All right. Are there any additions, corrections, or anything from commissioners? Nothing? Then, go ahead, we're ready for a motion.
I move that we approve the order of conditions for 108 Beach Plum Road Southeast. I'm sorry, SE, take that out.
Second.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay, moving right along.
Moving right along, the next order of conditions requested is for 28 Cranberry Lane. Richard and Jill Tepper are the applicants, map 15J, parcel 18, DEP number SE10, 3653. The project is demolition of an existing dwelling and construction of a new dwelling within the buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. And I have a note that ZBA approved on 6/27.
All right. First, any commissioners have anything to add to the order? Did you want to say anything else?
Nope.
I am loving this. I gotta tell you. Okay. Yes, we are.
I move that we approve the order of conditions for 28 Cranberry Lane.
Second.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I say aye.
Thank you.
Okay, Paul, next one.
Next one on the agenda is the airport project for the town of Chatham, 240 and 438 George Ryder Road and 1652 Main Street. Chatham Municipal Airport is the applicant, maps 9F, 240, 10G, 438, 8E, 1652 Main Street, parcel 0-2, 240, 18K1, 438, 53-27, and 1652 Main Street, DEP number SE10 3658. The project includes vegetation management required to remove obstructions within navigable airspace in compliance with the Federal Aviation Administration FAA regulations.
I move that we close the hearing on 240 and 438 George Ryder Road and 1652 Main Street.
Second.
Cheryl?
I'm abstaining because, oh,
You
this.
can vote on that
I
one.
can vote on this? Aye.
Aye. Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I say aye. This notice of intent has been a long 8-month process. We realize that this project is very unique, controversial, and probably the most significant order we've issued. Commission has learned quite a bit over the 8 months. We have read hundreds of pages of documents from the applicant as well as the public. We have heard you and appreciate the input. After taking everything we received into consideration, we have written what we feel is a very strong order, working to protect all of the areas of this project within our jurisdiction. We know that this decision will not please everyone, but the overriding issue has been the concern for safety and doing everything we possibly can to protect the area within our jurisdiction. What was evident from the beginning was that safety was paramount to the application. Within our regulations, variances may be granted for a variety of reasons. What became evident during the process was that there was no feasible alternative for the project, and that the project is necessary to accommodate an overriding public interest. For those reasons, it was decided that the variance requests should be granted.
One of the biggest issues we struggled to get beyond was the difference between the Town of Chatham Airport Approach Protection Bylaw, Chapter 11, and the approach zone presented in the application. We also came to realize that both federal and state standards outweigh the local ones. We were presented with many FAA documents demonstrating that federal regulations support its contention that the vegetation removal and management is an ongoing obligation. Specifically, the reference to Table 3-3 in FAA Circular 150/5300-13B clearly depicts the approach surface as commencing 200 feet from the end of the runway at a width of 400 feet. We have learned that in matters of aviation, federal, FAA, and state standards and requirements preempt local standards and requirements. For this reason, the Commission has accepted the FAA's position as the width to be used for this project.
As you probably know, the vernal pool has been of a real concern. A consultant was hired to assist us in determining how best to protect it. Within the order are very specific methods for tree removal in this area, and all trees will be evaluated as to their height, as will happen in all areas within our jurisdiction, and documented in order to determine the number of trees removed which is needed for mitigation purposes. Compost filter tubes will be placed between the limit of work and the vernal pool to prevent potential sediment migration toward the vernal pool. All trees will be hand-cut and left on the ground to minimize disturbance and create wildlife habitat. Tree cutting will only occur when the ground is frozen, dry, or otherwise stable. Monitoring and reporting will confirm that no sediment is entering the vernal pool.
Mitigation has been a difficult process and one that has caused us to have to think outside the box, so to speak. We have come up with a three-pronged approach. One of the most difficult parts is that we have no definitive number of trees to be removed. For this reason, all trees will be documented. We have specified that a special purpose tree fund be created by the town, and the donation in the amount of $70 per tree for each tree removed will be placed into the fund. Secondly, we have also agreed to the removal of invasive species from 1.2 acres adjacent to portions of the project site, but out of our jurisdiction, to take place for 3 growing seasons. Thirdly, the installation of native seed mixes on areas greater than 15 square feet that remain bare in the first peak growing season after cutting. In addition, when requested by the Commission, native shrubs and potentially additional native understory trees may be installed. We feel that the combination of these 3 solutions will work to balance the ecosystem losses.
The generic environmental impact reports, GEIR, states the removal of many potentially most, of the mature and immature trees within the approved project site will transform the impacted areas from woodlands-dominated to herbaceous and shrub-dominated systems. With this transformation, the shrubs and herbaceous species already presented in the wooded areas but repressed due to shading, are likely to rapidly begin to grow in dominance as other species begin to fill in the vacant niche. The shorter growing tree species, shrubs, and grassland species can provide equal levels of soil stabilization, water quality protection, and improved air quality. The conversion does not necessarily result in the elimination of all wildlife previously utilizing the area and can enhance some wildlife habitats that are typically more locally rare. To facilitate the minimization of wildlife habitat impacts within the vegetated wetland removal areas, this project will utilize vegetation monitoring and maintenance of the areas to establish the desired low-growing vegetative communities. We also heard from the Chief Regulation Officer for the Cape Cod Commission, and I want to tell you that what she has said is the 7-year expiration is not relevant here, because I know that that has been a question for many. Certain conditions of the original decision remain in force on the property. Those conditions are subject of the Cape Cod Commission's current review of the project. At this point, does anybody have any questions pertaining to the order as it's being presented? And it was posted on mytown.gov. I'm not seeing any hands up. Any commissioners have anything to add?
There's a hand, Adrian.
Okay, Adrian, go ahead.
Hi, thank you, Adrian Dunk, GZA, here on behalf of the airport. And we had a question about one of the standard conditions in section 2A2 regarding commission approval of the contractor.
Yes, and that was brought to us, and that was corrected at about a half hour before the meeting and reposted on mytown.gov. We removed that it had to be approved by the Conservation Commission, since there is already a contractor who is contracted to do this work.
Okay, thank you. That was our only clarification.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Paul.
Yeah, I just wanted to indicate, we had some technical issues with the hearing, and we were trying to work on those just before we started, so I did not get a chance to post that change on mytown.gov, but the request that was made, as Adrian alluded to, and you just did, has been deleted. So I think we're all set.
Great,
And we'll
thank
get it
you
up
so
on
much,
next month.
Paul.
Okay, you're welcome. Yeah.
Any, who's CW? Oh, that's Paul. Okay, phew.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
You know, yeah.
Any commissioners have anything?
Airport Commission has a hand up.
Oh, they do. Okay. Huntley, go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. I just have a question about the $70 per tree. Where did that figure come from?
Well, we came with 80. You came back with 60, and so we split the difference.
No.
So that's where it came from.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, then I think we are ready for yes, Bob, go ahead.
A couple of comments here. On the proposed work, how will the trees be removed? Is it in there, Janet?
Yes, it is. In the vernal pool area, they are removed by hand. Well, not removed. They are not being removed at all. And everywhere else, it's can be done by machinery.
Okay, will any of the trunks or debris, will that remain on site at all, or will it be
In the
taken
vernal
off-site?
pool area, yes. Everywhere else, they will be removed unless, if it's on somebody's property and they ask to leave them, that can happen. It'll be in consultation with property owners.
Okay, protected resource areas, number 6. Vaccinium corymbosum is spelled wrong.
Oh. All right. Do you see that?
So vaccinium, and then the species, it says, reads corybosum. There should be an M after the Y. It should be corymbosum.
Okay.
What page are you on? I'm sorry, what page?
Page 11.
11 with a letter? Is there a letter at the bottom?
11J,
Okay.
Pretty close up.
number 6,
Do you see it? Yep. And there's an M after the Y.
after the Y.
Okay,
Corymbosum.
we'll correct that.
Conditions of work in all areas, number 11. On residential properties, stumps must be cut 6 inches below grade.
That's an old, you must have an older version.
Oh,
We took that out.
okay.
Yeah, we can't do 6 inches below.
Yeah, I was going to say they could be ground instead of cut.
That's in consultation with the property owner. If they'd like them ground, then that will happen, but otherwise, the stumps will be left.
Okay, that's it, thank you.
Thank you. All right, I think we are ready for a motion.
I move that we approve the order of conditions as amended with the correct spelling correction for 240 and 438 George Ryder Road and 1652 Main Street.
Second.
Cheryl?
And I abstain because I missed too many meetings.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I say aye. It has passed. Thank you, everyone, especially Janet, who did the lion's share on this, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate her expertise and efforts. All right, Paul, we are ready.
Okay. Next on the agenda is a request to extend an order of conditions. The address is 86 Harborview Road, applicant Ann Jenis, map 8A, parcel H3, DEP number SE103423. Addition to a dwelling and driveway and reconfiguration and invasive removal. Just very briefly, I spoke to the applicants upstairs here about an hour ago.
And I think they're here.
Yeah, and I just want to, I explained to them that I believe you should just grant the extension. They were concerned that that might require them to take longer to get their certificate of compliance. As we all know, there was some confusion in the state's language for the COVID extension, and it was difficult to interpret. So, you know, based on that, I just indicated to them, just go ahead, get the extension. If you want to file your certificate of compliance and they seem to be ready to go, they can do that anytime, and granting the extension to August 8, 2025 is not a problem at all. That's all I have to say.
All right, thank you.
Great.
Hi,
yes.
how are you?
Hi, my name is Mark Janess. Good afternoon, Commissioners. What Paul said is correct. We think we could get our request for the certificate of compliance, in the door in the next 30 days. Ryder and Wilcox is helping us with that. And just yesterday, we had Crawford Land Management, who we engaged to do the plant mitigation plantings. They went out yesterday to count and the plants, and their report should be done in the next week or two. So it's just, given the summer, things have just gotten kind of backlogged, and so we were not able to make the August 18th deadline. So that's why we're requesting this extension. But we fully expect to be done within the next month or two.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, any questions, any commissioners? Okay, I guess we're ready for a motion.
I move that we approve the second extension for 86 Harbor. Sorry. I move that we approve the second extension for 86 Harborview Road to August 18th, 2025.
Second?
Second.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I say aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Paul, onward.
Okay, moving on to requests for determinations of applicability. The first one is addresses 50 Chase Street, applicant James and Maria Anderson, map 16C, parcel 55C-8, R24-2. The project is replace existing deck in kind at the second floor master balcony, replace handrail, reframe stairs in kind within the same footprint, and there wasn't any ZBA approval needed for this.
All right, thank you. All right. Is there anybody representing 50 Chase here? No? Okay.
Hi.
Oh, go ahead.
For the record, my name's John Palacci with Cape Associates, and I'm Vice President. And as described, in summary, the scope of the work is just replacing the decking, which has deteriorated, so it's more of a maintenance project for the safety of the homeowners. But there is no addition to the size of the deck. And that's pretty simple. I believe somebody was out yesterday to take a look at the deck.
Well, I think hopefully a few of us were out there looking.
Okay.
I know I was there Monday. I don't know when everybody else went. Do any commissioners have any questions? Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, it was me. He met me out there,
Oh, okay.
just for the record. But anyway, yeah, I didn't see any erosion out there or anything like that. It looks fairly simple. So, yeah, I didn't see any issues.
Okay.
I just have a quick question, Mr. Palacci. The materials that you're going to be using for the new decking and the support structures and the stair treads, what will that be?
The handrail is going to be replaced with the cable system. And let me just, so I don't speak out of turn, the decking, I believe, is going to be same.
Yeah. I'm seeing
AZAC, I'm
AZAC.
sorry, it's, yeah,
AZAC.
AZAC, correct. Yeah.
And are the supporting structures, is that pressure treated wood? What is that, the piles?
That is correct.
Okay.
But there is going to be no excavation. We're going to be using the same sonotubes.
Okay.
And it's really just the decking.
Okay. So no impact on the ground at all then?
None.
Okay, well, that's, all right, thank you.
All right. Anybody else? All right, I think we're ready for a motion.
I move that we approve 50 Chase Street as a -3, which is in the buffer zone.
Second.
Elise, Cheryl,
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Elise,
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I say aye. You're all set. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Paul. Did we lose?
I'm here, I just muted myself.
Okay, that's okay. I
no.
just wanted to make sure we hadn't lost you, that you hadn't gotten a
No,
call.
I'm still here. I haven't jumped out the window yet.
Oh, good.
So, first
Don't.
one, on our notice intent applications, the address is 162 Shore Drive. Applicant Tom and Michelle Jennings, map 16D, parcel 15-29, DEP number SC10 3650. Project removal of an existing dwelling and construction of a new dwelling located outside of the outer aura, relocation of an existing accessory building, construction of an in-ground swimming pool, hardscaping and abandonment of an existing septic system, and the installation of a new IA septic system, restoration of existing lawn with native plant species. That is the project. I had a brief conversation with Stephanie just before the meeting. I think we were I can let her explain it, but I think you should go forward at least on this. She was going to request a continuance, but I don't think there's anything that we're looking for except the ZBA issue, and that's, as far as I know, that's it. But I'll let Stephanie elaborate through the chair.
Okay, hi, Stephanie.
Hi, good afternoon. Stephanie Sequin with Ryder and Wilcox. And yeah, this project, 162 Shore Road, I think we had 3 hearings with the commission, the last one being on December 6th, 2023. And at that hearing, you reviewed, there were our engineered site plan, the landscape site plan, the restoration plan, and the buffer coverage calculations, all dated November 29th, 2023. And so as of that hearing, December 6th, you were satisfied with the revisions that had been made. Most importantly, all the hardscaping had been pulled out of the NDZ, and it was continued to allow the applicant to go through the ZBA process. And so they did go to the Board of Appeals last week, and I didn't attend, but I heard it was spectacular that Bill Litchfield and the rest of the team did a tremendous job, and the Board of Appeals was very impressed, and they did approve it. So as far as I know, that's what you were waiting for. And I know back in December, you said when we do come back, you knew that it was going to be several months, and so it may be the first meeting just to get reacquainted or whatever. So there is no new information since that December hearing, other than they have the approval from the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Great. I do have a couple notes, and I just want to make sure. The pool, is there an auto cover? We had, I guess, had a question about that.
I don't remember whether that does or not. I think regardless, they still wanted the fencing. I don't know if
Yeah,
that's where
that
you're.
was the other part of it
Because
was
of their animal, they have dogs, and so they still wanted the fencing regardless of whether it had the auto cover.
Okay. So they're definitely having the pool fencing, and we don't know about the auto cover. There's a stockade fence. Is that the same one as the pool fence? That we had, whether it was going to stay in or go out? And I'm not sure how we,
Yeah, and I don't know if we have an answer on that
Okay.
either.
did you have to go to historical as well?
They have done that,
Okay, and it's been approved?
and it's been approved.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Does anybody have anything else? That's all I had really in my notes. Okay, then I think we can go to an order, and we can do it for the 7th. Yeah, I'd like to get this moving along. So go ahead,
In that
Liz.
vein, I move that we continue 162 Shore Road for an order of conditions on August 7th, 2024.
Second.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Janet? Aye. Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I say aye.
Okay, and I will
Okay,
get the
so
answer
that-
to just those 2 questions, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was it. So we'll have an order. If you can just find the answers to those, and then we can include them in the findings.
Okay.
That'd be great. Thank you. Okay, Paul?
Okay, Stephanie, stay right there.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is 177 Countryside Drive. Robert P. and Natalie Coleman-Fuller are the applicants, map 16I, parcel N14, DEP number. Actually, I don't have a full number, so skip that. Construction of additions, renovations, farmer's porch on second-story expansion to a single-family dwelling. Work will occur within 100 feet of a coastal bank on Monomoy River, within the riverfront area, and within the Pleasant Bay ACEC. On the only note I have on this is that there was an issue with the ZBA and possibly some mitigation, but maybe just the ZBA. Steffi could elaborate through the chair.
All right, hi, Stephanie.
Hi, good afternoon. Stephanie Sequin again, with Ryder and Wilcox, representing the Fullers. Property at 177 Countryside Drive. It's an existing single-family dwelling located on the Monomoy River. We located the edge of the river and showed the 200-foot riverfront area. It's also within land subject to coastal storm flowage, Zone A, elevation 11. For the most part, the topography at the 11-foot contour is between 4:1 and 10:1, and therefore the 11-foot contour is the top of the coastal bank. With the exception on the easterly property line, there's what appears to be an old borrow pit, and in that area, the 100-year flood zone reaches in there, and because the topography is steeper than 4:1 in the borrow pit, the top of the coastal bank is the top of that pit, and it's very, very close to, or the existing building is very, very close to that borrow pit and only a couple feet from the top of the bank. So we showed the 50 and 100-foot buffers from the coastal bank. Virtually the entire property, with one small exception, is within the 100-foot buffer to the coastal bank. The existing building is a little over 2 feet from the top of the bank. A while, I want to say 10 years ago or so, there was a notice of intent for construction of the decks in the back of the house. Those have been completed and are as shown on our plan. What's being proposed now is it's currently a one-story home with a walkout basement. They want to take the roof off, add a second floor over a portion of the property, just the main part of the building on the west side. So just going up a second floor over the existing, no increase in footprint there, no foundation work or any disturbance to the ground necessary for that. They also want to reconfigure, change the layout of the first floor plan. Right now, there's the front door that goes into the main part of the building, and there's also a second door that goes into sort of like a mudroom. And there is a ramp that leads from the driveway to that secondary door. They're eliminating that secondary door, taking away the ramp that goes from the driveway up to the doorway, and they are proposing a farmer's porch on the front of the building that will sort of, I think, lend a lot to the aesthetic appearance of the house once they go up with the second floor. The square footage of the porch is 18 feet 4 by 6 feet 4 inches. I should have the square footage, but I don't. So obviously where that porch is going, it's within existing disturbed area. There's already a front step, a stoop, and a couple steps in that area. I did the coverage calculations, and there is between the removal of the existing ramp and part of the walkway in that existing step, offset by the proposed farmer's porch, we have an increase of 11 square feet within the 0 to 50 foot and 43 square feet in the 50 to 100 foot buffer. So a very modest increase, 54 square feet total. I haven't, and I apologize, I neglected to put together a whole narrative and alternatives analysis, and so I
mitigation.
apologize for that. The mitigation that the owner would like to provide and is proposing, in that, the top of that borrow pit area, there is some erosion close to the edge. There's also some invasive vines, so they would like to take out the invasive vines, put in some native ground cover to hopefully stabilize that eroding bank, and we can provide well over the 65 square feet of mitigation that is triggered by this increase in coverage.
But we'll need a mitigation plan.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
And this does have to go to the Board of Appeals.
yes, and you haven't scheduled that yet, have you?
I don't think that has been submitted yet.
Not according to the notes I have. And of course, as you said, we need the narrative, the alternatives analysis, the work protocol, all of that.
Yep.
Go ahead, Janet.
Performance standards.
And performance standards. Anybody have any questions? Go ahead,
Yeah.
Janet. Why don't you-
Stephanie, there's somewhere in the materials I found, there was a.
Hello?
Oh, Paul?
Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I'm just sorry. I thought the mic stopped. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. The coverage charts noted 65 square feet of mitigation. Is that what you're talking about in terms of planting along the top of the borrow pit?
That's what's required, and I think it will be well over that 65 square feet.
Oh, so 65 square feet is required, but
Right.
you will have more. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Bob?
Hi, Stephanie, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. What is it, a sunroom or a sun porch or something like that, that's going in?
Farmer's porch
Farmer's porch?
in the
okay.
front. So that's just a roof open underneath, not
Okay.
enclosed space.
Is there going to be any landscaping around there, around the farmer's porch?
Well, there are some foundation plantings now, so I would imagine they would want to replace them. We can certainly specify natives there.
Yeah, there are a lot of old Japanese hollies in that area, I believe so. And I think it would be nice to remove some of those and to add some new plantings, especially if, a new portion is going in for the house up front.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else have anything? No? All right, so we're going to have to continue this, but what I have is that we need the narrative, the work protocol, the alternatives analysis, the performance standards, mitigation, and you're considering putting plantings around the foundation of the porch.
Yes.
Anybody have anything else? All right. When would you?
Could we come in on August 7th?
You can get everything in by then? I mean,
When
it's
do you
2
need it?
weeks.
Yeah.
So it has to be by the Friday before, the packets are out at noon,
Okay.
so.
Yes, if there's room on August 7th, if you could continue it to
Right
then.
now, there's room. You're lucky to be toward the beginning, because otherwise, I think we're going to get a little heavy. All right, then we can do a motion to continue this to
Okay.
the 7th.
I move that we continue 177 Countryside Drive to August 7th, 2024.
Second.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I say aye.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Paul, the next.
Okay, we have next on the agenda is a notice of intent. There will be a continuance on this. We received that yesterday. It's Zero Crosswind Farm, Joseph and Jeremilo on Stewart. Map 10J, parcel 17A-L P3060, EP number SE103688, proposed single-family dwelling, still needs ZBA. They've asked for continuance to August 7th.
Okay, we just need a motion.
I move that we continue 0 Crosswind Farm Road to August 7th, 2024.
Second.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I say aye. All right, the next one, moving right along.
509 Riverview Drive. Scott Barrett and Kimberly Summers are the applicants, map 7J, parcel C60, the EP number SE103687. Project is construction of access stairs over a coastal bank. Looks like ZBA approved on July 11th.
Correct.
Good afternoon, David Clark, Clark Engineering, on behalf of Kim and Scott, who are in the audience. As Paul stated, this was approved by Zoning Board of Appeals without any changes. We did consider narrowing it to 8 inches, but we decided to leave it the way it is. So there are no changes to the plan from the last time we were here.
Okay. So did they decide anything about the kayak rack at the landing?
I don't think it was presented to them. We
Okay.
don't think we need to modify the plan at all. I think we can
Right,
put up supports for kayaks on the structure as
Okay.
designed, so no
Right.
increase in the footprint.
and then I had down the width of the steps was in question. I assume it's still the same width that it was?
Yes, I think 44 inches is,
I think
41,
41.
sorry, 41, yeah. So,
There was a question whether our commissioners like that width. Any opinion? I mean, ZBA, authority. Okay. And then, of course, in the pre-work meeting, it was requested that you include the Conservation Foundation.
yes, that was,
Okay, I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure
That
we
would be in the
have
order.
all our ducks in a row.
yeah. So at the pre-construction meeting, the foundation will be invited.
Great. All right, then, I think, unless anybody has any other questions, I think we can move this to an order. Is there a time that, a meeting that you prefer?
We were hoping that you'd have a draft one tonight, this afternoon.
Do
As
the
soon as-
7th.
Yeah, as soon as possible would be great.
Okay, we'll do the 7th. Okay, so let's move it to the 7th and
I
we're in
move,
order.
I move that we continue 509 Riverview Drive for an order of conditions on August 7th, 2024.
Second.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I say aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll have that on the 7th. Okay, Paul?
Okay, moving on to 289 Sea Pine Road. The applicant's 289 Sea Pine Road Nominee Trust, map 12K, parcel HC21, DEP number SE103685. The project is proposed removal and reconstruction of a single-family and associated improvements, and ZBA approved on 7/11.
Yep. Hi.
Good afternoon. Brad Malo from Ty and Bond. Phil Cheney, landscape designer, is also here, as well as the applicant, Janine Hoyt. And I believe online, Ian Peach from Wilkinson Ecological Design is also with us. Last time we met, May 22nd, we presented the proposal for the raise and replacement of the house with a number of other elements. We walked away with 3 items to address from the commission, as I recall. Wilkinson Ecological Design. I'll let Ian actually go into detail about a couple of the elements that they addressed. Excuse me. The other 2 On the landscape plan by Phil Cheney, there was a question about the type of grass, the lawn area, and a detail has been added to identify that as all lawn as fescue lawn, as well as because of the questionable holly tree near the proposed garage that was going to be removed. Phil has shown on his plan to the easterly side of the property a proposed holly tree in lieu of that removal. Finally, the question on the coverage within the aura came up. We, Coastal and Ty and Bond, has calculated that and presented that in a letter. The aura coverage is less than 35%. It's actually at 27.5%, and therefore a variance is not required.
So 27.5?
Correct. And that is
Okay.
in a letter in the package that was presented in
Yeah, I didn't get that.
around May. The revised package of the Wilkinson plan, the Cheney landscape plan, and our letter were provided on June 27th, actually. And since we last met, also, the Zoning Board of Appeals approved the project on July 11th. Maybe if I give Ian a moment to just explain his changes.
That'd be great. Go ahead, Ian.
Thank you. Good afternoon. For the record, Ian Peach, representing the project for Wilkinson Ecological Design. You can see our restoration plan with the revisions clearly noted, and that revision was carried through to the language in the land management plan that was also resubmitted with the package. The primary revision was in response to the comments that we received, or the most pointed comment, asking us to reconsider the proposed coppicing on that western side where we have a cluster of 4 previously managed oaks. And instead of having us to do ongoing height management and coppice and have boots on the bank and ongoing work on the bank to achieve that protocol, we heard from many commissioners that they would prefer a replacement of appropriate native shrubs in that location. Thank you for pointing to the area with the cursor. So we've gone beyond a 2-to-1 ratio in that small area. I do want to point out that it's a bank with many oaks. All the oaks you see on that plan are all existing and staying. So the quercus is well represented. These will be fruit-bearing native maritime shrubs, beach plum and bayberry, very appropriate for the site. And we'll leave the root systems of the trees in place to decay naturally. So as they're decaying, they're stabilizing, adding benefits to the soil ecosystem. And then those shrubs are going to get going and start to do their work with the roots and be part of a restored coastal bank. So that's our primary revision. We did clarify the language on an annotation about the material on the steps to be replaced with in-ground stone in the exact location. And other than that, I believe those were the revisions and what we heard in our first hearing. But I'm happy to speak to anything further if helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions, comments? It looks like you all did listen to our requests, and I appreciate that. So I think we can go to an order. Yeah, August 7th. Yeah, we only have one order so far on August 7th, so, or no, we have a couple others. Yeah, I know. We have 2 weeks. This will be the last one we can do to August 7th, though.
Great.
Go ahead, Elise.
I move that we continue 289 Sea Pine Road for an order of conditions on August 7th, 2024.
Second.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I say aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Paul?
Okay, next on the agenda is a notice of intent. The address is 9 Pine Grove Road, applicant Neil and Cheryl Sullivan, map 8B, parcel 8-H67. I don't have a full DEP number on this yet. The proposed work consists of a deck expansion and landscaping. Work will occur in the buffer zone to a coastal bank, and it looks like it still needs ZBA approval. That may be done, but that's the note I have.
Good afternoon. David Little and Phil Cheney here with Neil Sullivan as well regarding 9 Pine Grove Road. Neil is proposing to extend his existing deck on the west side of his house 4 feet. There is a patio underneath he's proposing to replace with permeable pavers, a patio underneath the deck. And then in addition to that, he's proposing a 3.5-foot walkway under the deck over to some sliders on the north side of the house. On the northeast side of the dwelling, there are a series of steps and decks and landscape features that we are proposing to remove. Phil has designed a couple of retaining walls, which will allow planting beds and some steppers to get around that corner of the house, which we are also retreating in a direction from the top of the coastal bank on this site. And then we're also replacing the front stoop and the walkway on the driveway, on the street side of the driveway. The work proposed results in a 157 square foot reduction in site coverage on the property. And even with that reduction, Phil has proposed 320 square feet of mitigation along the top of the coastal bank, as shown on his plan. And Paul is correct. Bill Litchfield is going to the ZBA with this. We do not have a date as of yet.
Mm-hmm.
Phil?
Phil Cheney, landscape designer. I don't have much to add except to just explain that, yes, we thought it would make sense to infill below the top of the coastal bank within the resource area with the mitigation plantings, as well as revegetating most of the areas that were vacated by the loss of the landscaping material. So that's the primary objective of the, quote, mitigation plan.
All right, so I was out there, and of course, now I can't remember, underneath the deck where you want to put the patio, isn't that dirt now?
That portion is dirt, yes.
So was that part, putting the patio in, included in your coverage calculations?
No, because it's below an existing deck. But even if we did include it in our coverage calculations with the 157 square foot reduction,
Right.
and then the 320 square feet of mitigation.
Oh, no, I understand. I just am trying to make sure we get the coverage table correctly
Well,
reflected.
It's always a tricky call. We have a deck that we're counting as coverage, and then we have the area underneath it. Do you double that? I mean, we can do whatever you would
Yeah.
like, Karen. We have the.
Technically,
the patio part is the part, but I guess when you are calculating for the deck, are you calculating the addition to the deck or the entire deck?
We included the deck in the existing coverage calculations, the existing deck, and then we included the additional deck in the proposed coverage calculations.
Okay, and that's the part that, the proposed deck I get goes into the coverage, but underneath, you're now changing.
Partially. If you look at, Phil's plan is very clear. You
Oh,
can
yeah.
see
No,
where
I see.
it's gravel going on top of dirt below,
Right.
just to help retain
Okay.
stormwater runoff, and then pavers underneath to facilitate walking under the deck.
Right, and it's just, the pavers are.
We have time to clarify that if you.
No, that's fine, I just,
No, excuse me, if I can, it'd be helpful to understand clarification, because in the past, it was generally considered one coverage
Okay.
when you had
All right.
deck over pavers. So That's always
Yeah,
been my
I just
assumption.
figured you're now covering an area, but it's going to be permeable.
Right,
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. At least it's permeable.
And I think both the gravel and the pavers will help
Oh, yeah.
infiltrate stormwater runoff so
Oh,
close to the
no, I
bank.
agree. I absolutely agree. I just, and I assume that rinse station's permitted?
I never assume anything when I come before this board.
You know I'm always going to notice a
I-
rinse station.
I don't know. I can do some research and let you know.
Okay. Yep, you're good at the research, so if you
Okay.
would.
I'd be happy to do that.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I have a question.
Eric has something?
Hi, on the on the mitigation area, is that above the existing, is that gonna be continuous with the existing vegetation? You're not removing to
Oh,
put?
correct, yes.
Yeah,
The
you
only
did-
only thing, only
you're going-
vegetation being removed would be lawn.
Yeah, so you're going above that, okay, thank you.
All right. Janet?
I'm going to ask maybe Bob and Eric, or you guys, what you know about the nature of the vegetation that's on that bank that's going to be adjacent to the mitigation plants. My non-professional take was that there's a fair amount of invasives in there. Is there a need to protect the mitigation plants from being overrun by invasives?
That's a nice thought. It's really not enough room to create
How do
any,
you, but how
any
do you do
space.
that?
And it is
to Keep them from,
yes, I guess we're not going to be able to, I mean, eliminating the invasives would be a massive task on that spot.
it's a
And
steep bank with a lot of invasives
right,
from what I could
yes.
see.
That's why I say I think we're gaining the benefit of adding the native plants.
Yeah.
And
In that case, unfortunately, it normally falls to the homeowner to just exercise a degree of vigilance.
Right.
And get out there with clippers and keep an eye on, when you see things starting to move in toward those plants, to keep, it's a constant battle with invasives. They will want to spread. But if you don't want to lose these native plants that are going in, you just have to wage war against them on an ongoing basis. I mean, we actually put that into our orders now. So,
I
okay.
have a quick question.
good to know.
Did you consider at all for an alternative to put it on the west side? Are they concerned about, I mean, you're only putting blueberry bushes, and they're not worried about the view, are they? Because the west side,
that's,
there are no, or is it out? Is it completely out of the, no, you're within.
right. Most of, I mean, this here is, where I'm showing the mitigation planting is actually in the resource area technically. It's below the top of the coastal bank. I figured that was a higher priority.
Well, yeah, but with all the invasives,
Sure.
I was thinking because the west side doesn't have any invasives,
Right.
just field grass.
Yes, and it's
That's
generally
mowed-
in
that's
good
mowed-
shape.
That's mowed below the banking, so you could plant it on the upper slope of that, and then you wouldn't have to worry about invasives. And it's an easy digging, easy planting.
It's a possibility. I guess I saw that as being in decent shape as a native grass meadow for the
So
most
I was
part at
thinking
this
it'd be
point.
great to have it continuous with a nice grass meadow, rather than stuck out with a bunch of invasives in the woods,
I still think it's more beneficial to protect the bank, I guess, in that location because of the steepness.
Yeah.
That was my thought. I mean, we could be flexible if the commission
Well,
had a
the
real
bank-
preference,
The
but
bank has been hanging in there for a long
Yeah.
time.
Anybody else? Bob?
Yeah, I was going to suggest a mow strip between the planting and the, I saw a lot of Rosa rugosa in there along that bank.
agreed. This just, that would be a difficult pitch, on the bank to put a mow strip.
It's awfully steep.
And there's just not enough room to add a mow strip and the plantings.
Yeah, well, I suggest maybe we move the planting then, the whole planting area. Because I agree, that was one of my concerns too, with the, invasives. If you're going to put them right up against the invasives, they're just going to grow right into the new planting area.
So are we hearing that you would prefer to see the mitigation moved, maintain a mowed strip along the top of the bank where it is now, and then move the mitigation over to the west? Is that what you're saying?
No, not I mean, if you move the mitigation on the west side, you wouldn't really have to do anything. It's bordering a field, it's no invasives, it's easy digging. It's on the top of it's with it continues with what's there. It's, I think it would be easier.
Are you on board with that, Neil? Okay.
Not a problem, as we're
Probably cost you less money for the
Yeah.
labor, too.
Then you'd have the Rosa Bergosa coming up against the lawn, and that's a
Okay.
fair fight.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right, so, other than that, is there anything else anybody has?
Could I just ask
Yeah.
one more question, Karen?
Sure.
The permeable pavers below the deck, the new ones, are those going to be pitched away from the house?
Yes, certainly.
Okay, is there going to be like an in-ground drain or anything along the edge
No,
of that?
there's enough lawn, I think, in between for the small area, and it's a very shallow pitch.
Okay,
It's not really an erosion issue.
okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else? So, really, we just need a new mitigation plan. I think as far as what they are planting, is everybody okay with that? Then, would everybody be okay with putting an order together maybe for the 14th, but with receiving the plan before that?
They need ZBA?
We do need ZBA.
True.
Can you say
I
something
don't
about the rinse?
expect, I really don't expect an issue with ZBA. I'm comfortable
No.
with this board moving forward.
Well, what we can do is provide that letter, and we can just say it's ready for an order, and you can get us the plan, and we will have it ready for whenever ZBA
Great.
finally hears it. So we'll move it, where could we move it to for,
Whenever it works, Karen.
yeah,
14th
No.
or 28th are the two.
well,
They're probably not
Yeah.
going to have ZBA by
no,
then.
they're not going to have ZBA anytime soon.
Nope.
I think, why don't we move it to the 28th?
Okay.
And then
That's
we
fine.
can always, hopefully by then you will have applied for your,
We can look at the mitigation.
yeah, we can look at the mitigation at that point, and hopefully you will have applied with zoning, and then we know a better idea of when we truly can issue the order.
Okay, and then just one final question.
Yeah.
If
yes.
the RID station was not previously permitted, does that need to be included in
Yeah,
the project application?
yep.
Okay, which will be
So-
an easy thing to do. I just want to make sure we're covering everything.
So we're going to continue this to the 28th, and August 28th, and then hopefully by then you'll know whether that rent station is permitted, and you
Oh,
can get us a
without a
new
doubt.
mitigation plan.
Yep.
And then I think we should be ready. Yeah, we're moving it to an order, but we won't be issuing the order yet.
I move that we continue 9 Pine Grove Road for an order of conditions on August 28th, 2024.
Second?
Cheryl?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Lise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I say aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Paul?
Okay, next on the agenda is 109 Shane Drive, Andrew Pinkowitz, map 15G, parcel 74-B28A, DEP number SE 103692. The project is 2 proposed porch additions on the second floor, addition and mitigation.
Good afternoon.
Sorry.
Good afternoon. For the record, Thad Aldridge, here with Bill Riley, representing the Pinkowitzes. The missus is in the audience. And so we have somewhat a simple project. We have a property that's up against a drainage pond. It's kind of neat because there is a levee in the back, so it holds back the water. The low point exiting out of that pond is just below the low point in the backyard. So as long as we don't get a stupendous amount of rain, the water stays on that side. The proposal is to take out part of a patio and put in a porch, and that's well within the 50-foot buffer. To add a porch to the front of the property, to the front of the house, with about a square foot in the 50-foot, and then add a second floor that's really innocuous, even though it's within 50 feet, it's within the existing footprint. The mitigation required, we've depicted within the BVW limits, and those are wet-tolerant species, and they'll survive during the little bit of drought that we get because this pond really does change in size throughout the seasons. We've provided variance request alternatives analysis, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Bill, do you have anything to say?
Well, the goal for me is not to say anything.
Good.
Cost of legal,
Helps us get it,
cost of
move
legal
along.
fees easier these days.
Yeah. All right. Does anybody have anything? I'm sure Janet.
I have a question for Thad. I'm intrigued because I haven't seen it before, and on behalf of all of us up here who don't know what this means, I'm going to ask you, why is a perched wetland significant?
True.
How is it significant?
I don't know,
It's just-
you called it out, saying this is an unusual case because of the levee, and it created a perched wetland. And I
It's just
thought,
neat, and we have other.
what does that mean? What does that mean?
It's not a part of the water table.
So it
It's
sits
above the water table.
It sits above the water
So what's the
table.
water source then?
Mostly from
Road
street
runoff.
Runoff, and it's just capturing that, and is it a clay layer below it, so that's why the water can't get down there?
And we have a few more of those, the perched pond behind my office.
Yeah, that I remember.
That has three names, perch pond, and newty pond. But that's sitting on a clay layer that, it's the stormwater runoff that gets into it to feed it. Same
Do you know how
here.
deep it gets?
Not very.
So it doesn't evaporate, though? It's not like a
No,
ephemeral
there's,
pond of
if
some
you
sort?
go to the history in Google Earth, there's one pocket to the north which is always wet. So there's going to be some depth there, but the rest of it, I mean, you look at the species, they're fringe species that were covered with water this spring when we did the survey.
Okay, I was curious. It seemed significant to me, but I wasn't sure why.
Well,
so
with
thank
all
you.
the sand, all too often, we're seeing wetlands that intercept the groundwater
Right,
table.
right.
And to see a perched wetland, and not in Orleans, which is mostly clay, it's just neat.
Yeah,
Unique
no,
for Chatham.
I totally agree. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, I was just gonna, quickly, that was an old skating, the neighborhood kids played hockey on it, and the Lovelands saw the money in it and set up a little shack down by the pond and sold sodas and potato chips. All the kids skating on that pond.
Did anyone ever fall in?
Not that I know.
Well, then they know the depth.
Anything else? Bob?
I have a question. The chain link fence that borders the lot along the wetland, what's that all about, and when was it approved?
It went in before the Pinkowitzes purchased the property by years. They prefer to keep that because there are coyotes that they see on the other side, and they prefer to have their yard not coyote-free, but with fewer coyotes.
They have cats they like to let out. And as long as the fence is there, they feel they can let their cats out. And you know, if there's no fence, you know what they call a cat? A snack.
I had
Well, there's still
a
snacks.
cat in my neighborhood who became a snack recently, so I can tell you.
Yeah,
Yeah, dog.
I know a couple dogs.
Yeah.
But it doesn't allow the wildlife to
Go through.
go through and, transport back and forth and run around and,
Well, I know, but Bob, there's no natural source. This is just drainage off the road. So it's not like there's a stream flowing in there that in a heavy rain event is going to raise the elevation of the pond and keep it that way. It's just road runoff that evaporates.
Well,
So,
and it drains into a cranberry bog off to the northeast.
yeah, so it's, you know, it's not like the thing is moving, because it's it's very static.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the fences either, but in this case, it's very close to the house. So to me, but to tell a bunch of people on the conservation board that let the cats out probably isn't a good idea, you know? That didn't help the matter. You should have said dog.
No. Actually insulted.
Dogs don't kill birds, so.
Yeah, the
Well, it's-
cats kill hundreds and hundreds of songbirds.
bunnies.
But in any case, the
I know, but the
fence,
dogs kill the rabbit, so come on, one way or the other.
I don't care about the
It's a
rabbits.
dog-eat-rabbit world.
but in this particular property, the fence is really close to the house. I don't know whether it really matters in this. I'm on the fence on this.
You are, well, you could keep the coyote out.
Anybody else?
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
And there.
All right,
So we're filed with zoning.
yes, you're here, you're being heard August 15th?
That's correct.
Okay. If there's nothing else, I think we can go to an order. And how about for the 28th of August?
That's fine.
I got one more question.
Oh, go ahead.
The mitigation plants, they're kind of close to that area where the invasives are along that chain link fence. You're going to have a mow strip between the two?
We certainly can. I wouldn't go with a full 3-foot width. I'd have a foot or two, something kind of tight. In this area, there weren't many invasives in the middle of the property. Those were really on the edges. So, but we can certainly keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, that would be good, I think, even if you had a foot or two.
Mhm.
And is there going to be anything around the planting, just to delineate the,
And we can do a metal edging or a couple of stones, whatever you'd
something,
like.
something?
Isn't it outside the fence?
It's inside.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So we have, you're going to do something like a metal edging or stones. Can that be reflected on a new plan? Just so that we have that. A little buffer. And also reflected on the plan. And then I think we're ready, so we could schedule it for the 28th, which is after zoning, and nothing else changes.
That'd be great.
Is that the 28th or the 26th?
Oh,
20,
let's see.
If you're continuing to the 12th, then
28th.
Are we all saying the
Wednesday's
wrong
the
date?
28th. I'm looking at August, Wednesday the 28th.
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 Yeah,
very good.
yeah.
Made me think. All right,
You ready?
so we're ready.
I move we continue 109 Shane Drive for an order of conditions on August 28th, 2024.
Second.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I say aye.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Paul?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next on the agenda is 97 Tilapy Run, staging and access on Tilapy Run, TR 97 Nominee Trust. Is the applicant map 14A3, parcels 2-B and N131, DEP number SE 103690. This was an emergency repair of an existing coastal engineering structure. As you know, the work has been suspended under the emergency 30-day period, and a notice of intent has been filed. And the applicant's requested a continuance to August 7th.
Okay. If we could have a motion.
I move we continue 97 Tilipy Run to August 7th, 2024.
I have a question before I say second.
Sure.
How do we get access to the property when we want to see it?
The
There's
only,
a,
go ahead, Paul.
yeah, the next door neighbor, you can walk through that property so you're facing the house, go off to the left.
It's all
The
fenced
last one.
off.
Even the
Well,
road?
Yeah, even that access road is blocked off, and it has concrete barriers on the left and right, so it's hard for us to really.
Yeah,
I think you'll have to wait until they start work again in September, and they'll open up those fences.
Yeah, okay,
'Cause otherwise, I don't see how we can get through. I tried to and stood there and went,
yeah, it's hard to
Yeah,
get.
and I know that previously we had to have somebody who's doing the work meet us
yeah.
Okay.
in order to get in.
Okay, thank you. Second?
Okay, Cheryl.
Aye.
Janet.
Aye.
Elise.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
And I say aye. All right, Paul, next one.
next one is 44 Nickerson Lane, Mitchell, Frazoli, map 7B, parcel 41-17, DEP number SE 103691. Project proposed shoreline stabilization and restoration plantings.
Okay. Anybody here?
Good afternoon. I'm here.
Oh, wow, look at you. I was wondering who was,
I'm here. For the record, Jen Crawford, Crawford Land Management, here for the applicant today. So from our last hearing, we needed to have NHESP comment. We did receive that comment. I'm assuming that you guys have had a copy of that provided to you. Am I correct?
no. We did not receive
Okay.
it, so we do need that.
We can get that to you. That's not a problem. The only thing that was in it was basically a time of year restriction for work on the fiber roll array, which is typical. However, their jurisdiction is only over a very small corner of that array, but we can send that over to you. So that would need to be added to the order of conditions. At the first hearing, the only thing that, from my memory, if it serves me correctly, that you would like me to have addressed was there was a question regarding sand drift fence and if it was beneficial to the project. And I told you that I wanted to just give it some thought before shooting off an answer to you during the hearing. And I have thought about it, and I don't believe in this case it will be beneficial for anything. This area doesn't seem to be the recipient of any windblown sand or anything, I think, that would lend any sort of fencing to be advantageous. I actually think it would be difficult with this particular site and with the way that the installation will need to go in this on this bank, that I think it would be difficult to maintain it there because the fiber rolls won't have a lot of nourishment over them. And so I think it would actually be more a pain in the butt and not really beneficial to the project overall in this particular case. So, but I appreciate you giving me the time to think about it and come back to you with an answer, I guess.
Okay. Anybody have anything else?
Yeah, so where do we go from when Janet brought up where the stone meets the fiber? Did we talk any more about how that's gonna happen? Because it would seem to me you would almost have to disassemble that end of the stone wall, put the fiber down and reassemble on top in order for it to blend in naturally. Because otherwise, when the water would there's no,
Yep. So I think Janet did ask the question. I did explain what we were going to do with that. There's no really additional detail that I can give you in order to show you, other than behind the stones. If you looked on site behind the very end, like one or two stones on the revetment, you can see that it's already hollowed out behind it. And so as we put in our narrative and notes on our plans, we may need to simply shift or move a stone or two in order to tie those fiber rolls back in to the bank behind it. But there's no change proposed to the revetment in height or design or anything of that nature. Everything that's there, we want to pretty much leave alone. And if we don't have to touch anything and we can get the fiber rolls tucked in behind that end stone or two and anchored securely, then we will. There's not really a detail I can provide for how that's going to come together, other than to kind of give you a verbal description. And if something changes in the field that necessitates something different, at that point we would alert the conservation agent, Paul, to work with us on site. But I don't anticipate that being an issue.
Okay.
Yep, we can put that in the order that if the need to move any of the stones becomes apparent during the installation of the rolls, then you will stop and consult with the agent to get approval. That's easy.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, anybody have anything else? All right, I think that this is ready. You're going to send us the NHESP letter? Great.
Yes, we will send that out to you right after I'm off this call.
Great. All right, we can go to an order. How about the 14th or 28th?
28.
I'd prefer 28th
For
of
28th of
August. Or we
Okay.
can go further out and we'd be thrilled.
I would be thrilled with as soon as you can get us back on, just so we can get the work lined up. If it's feasible for us to get back on with you on the 14th, I would appreciate it.
It's going to be tight. How about, let's just say the 28th. We've got an awful lot of orders coming up. And we have a few people who will be out. So.
We will take the 28th as long as you can promise me that you will do your best to have it issued shortly thereafter, so that we can get through our appeal periods.
Yeah. We can
Perfect.
try to do that. I'm sure Crystal will. Okay, we're ready for a.
Awesome.
Okay, I move we continue 44 Nickerson Lane to August 28th, 2024 for an order of conditions.
Second.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay. All right, Paul.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Madam Chair, next on the agenda is the last notice of intent application. The address is 30 Sears Point Lane, applicant McClay Family Property LLC, map 11A1, parcel 6-4, DEP number SE 103677. The project is proposed waterfront maintenance.
Hi, Bill.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I represent the McClay family. We have Ryan Kavanaugh from Diane Bond. I don't know who else is there. Corinne from Wilkinson.
Yes, hi, I'm here.
Okay.
I think, well, Ryan, do you think you should start and then we'll go to Corinne?
Absolutely. So we have not made too many changes from our last submission to you guys. The biggest questions that were left after the last meeting, I believe, were boat storage areas as well as the vegetated buffer strip. And I will defer to Katrin to speak about the vegetated buffer strip, but in the exhibit that I sent over initially, we had proposed to put the small boat storage area to the left of the stairs if you're facing the water. And after some considerations, we determined to put it on the right of the stairs, which I sent over yesterday. So I apologize for the delay in that, in the late submission. But we just proposed to put the small boat storage area outshore of the seawall to keep it out of any of the resource areas, above the high tide line and out of the salt marsh, to really minimize impacts. And the boat storage area will either be on the sand or potentially have some sort of elevated kayak or boat rack. And I'll turn over to Katrin to talk about.
Yeah, but the Dropbox wasn't updated yesterday, so.
No, it was 6 days ago. That's why I'm asking.
So what's showing up now, what we're sharing is the old, that one is no longer,
Yeah, I sent an email to Paul yesterday. I apologize if it wasn't
All right.
updated appropriately. That is my fault,
That's
but it
okay.
would just be mirrored on the other side of the stairs.
To the
So
left
on
of the
this plan, it would be
stairs?
on the, correct, to the left on this plan.
Look at the screen up there, it's easier.
Right. Well, no, that's Janet.
Yeah, that's me, but
That's,
Oh, it is.
because that's what
I'm
I was
sharing.
looking, going, there's nothing from
do
yesterday.
you
in
have a
the
plan that
box.
you could share on your screens that we can see the actual location?
It would be exactly the same as this, just on the other side of the stairs. I'm happy
Okay.
to share something if that's,
No,
if that's
there's no
easier.
need if it's that way.
But I was going to say it's pretty,
And why
Yeah.
was it moved?
just due to personal preference from the homeowner.
Okay.
But it's, yeah.
All right.
And I'll turn it over to Katrin to talk about the buffer strip, and then we can have a larger discussion about these two things.
Sure, thank you, Ryan. So just in terms of our revised plan from the last hearing, we heard the clear request for a buffer strip on the top of the bank. So we're showing a 3-foot wide buffer strip, which would be seeded with our Cape Cod meadow mix and allowed to naturalize. And then the shrubs that are shown would be planted within that area. And you'll see on the eastern side, the buffer strip kind of fades off, and that's right where the sassafras woodland exists. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So that's already vegetated. So that's why it kind of ends right there.
Okay, go ahead, Janet.
So, hi, Katrina, I have a question.
Hi.
So, this little area where the cursor is now, between the top of the 3-foot wide buffer strip, which is pretty thin, and the existing patio, is that lawn in between?
Correct.
Why wouldn't you plant right to the edge of the patio? Why would you leave something that appears to be about 2 feet wide as lawn that has to be maintained? Why wouldn't you extend the buffer right to the patio?
Well, I think that that patio is well used, and you kind of need a little bit more space there between where people are actively congregating and the buffer strip.
Yeah, you don't want to get any
Well,
bugs on
the
it.
problem is that it's going to be grasses is the buffer strip. So
Grasses, and
they're going to
there's
be very
shrubs right
vulnerable
there.
to being mowed when somebody's mowing a little 2-foot wide area of lawn.
Well, that's why we bumped those sweet fern up. So the sweet fern will, they'll get big and provide an edge there. No one's going to want to really mow sweet fern down.
And we could put a metal strip or something to demarc it.
Yeah, something, because
Yeah.
when it's
Yeah.
growing in, it's going to be very vulnerable.
That would be fine, a metal strip.
Okay. Anything else, Janet?
Where did can someone remind me where we landed on, did we specify the volume of nourishment that's proposed once these fiber rolls are in, and the beach nourishment below the bulkhead? Did I miss that? Was there a
No.
We
volume?
currently have a volume of 25 cubic yards in front of the bulkhead. Kind of
25 in
between,
front of the bulkhead?
correct.
Okay.
Just to keep the grade as it exists today. And I do not believe we specified a volume for the fiber rolls.
No, I don't believe that was discussed. We can definitely get you that.
Yeah, if you could. But assuming that you're talking about the usual of covering the fiber rolls with some nourishment and some that will make its way down onto the beach. And connected to that is, and I know I had a note, but I don't know where we ended in terms of what the trigger would be for nourishment ongoing. There's a bunch of stakes in the ground, but I think we talked about removing those.
We did.
So do we have something that we could put in the order for what the trigger point would be?
And this is Catherine Ricks with Ty and Bond. We had discussed doing potentially visible screws or nails in the bulkhead at 4.5 feet, which is the approximate elevation of the beach at this point. And then when those become visible, then do a nourishment at that point so that not too much sand is going on, not overfilling that area that would then go on to the salt marsh, but kind of using a visible tracker that way.
Okay, so a tracker is attached to the bulkhead at elevation 4.5?
Yeah, you could put nails potentially, maybe one at each end and one in the middle that are visible,
Okay.
and use that and have it average across there.
But they wouldn't be visible, once the nourishment goes in, they're not visible, and then when they become visible is the triggering event?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay,
Smart.
that'll work. Mm-hmm. All right, thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is the bulkhead's pre-existing. And the groins will be gone,
That's a good thing.
so that's a small victory. The neighbor's happy with that the groins will be gone, and that's good to know. That's it, thanks.
Anything else? So I have that, we'll have to see the new plan, but all it is moving the boat storage from the right to the left. Everything's the same size and everything, so I assume that that will be okay. We need, we're going to have a metal strip around the patio, near the patio area, so that that doesn't get mowed. We need to know about the volume of nourishment for the fiber rolls. Is there any place on the plans or some way to indicate this, putting the screws or nails into the bulkhead so that we know that's what's being done to indicate that more nourishment's needed? Because I think that should be noted someplace in descriptions or something. So that we know for going forward what we're going to use to indicate that. Anything else that anybody can think of that I missed? All right, so it's really not a lot. I think we're ready for an order.
Right.
As long as we can get, and, so you can get those things to us. How's August 28th or later sound? I'm loving later, but.
Well, they're not going to do the work until
Exactly.
after that time period anyway, so that'd be
So
fine.
could we move it to September?
Sure.
Can I just add something?
Sure.
We would really love to be able to do the knotweed this fall, to start the work of the knotweed removal. So if we could do the 28th, that would be greatly appreciated.
Okay.
We should add, we don't have that yet, but I think we need to, I
You
guess,
don't have it?
well, it was initially given some sort of treatment earlier in the summer, right? That made it all die back, but we know that's temporary. Will it come back sufficiently so that it can be dealt with in September in terms of being, are you talking about cutting it and then injecting it? Is that the?
Correct.
Will it
And
have
I don't
recovered enough
believe-
so that you can do that? That's what,
Wilkinson has not done anything to the knotweed yet this
I
year.
don't believe there have been any treatments to this
Yeah.
property done so far.
what is all
We've
the
been
dead
waiting for this
vegetation on
order.
either side of the stairs?
So I haven't been out recently.
Last year's stocks, probably.
No, okay, I'll take another look. It looked like there was a lot of recent dead vegetation on the stair, on both sides.
So I can clarify that. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
go ahead.
Yes, we can, Bill.
So this is Bill McClay, and my wife and I've managed the property. It was cut this year in terms of, otherwise the stairs were, it was only cut in a small area. There was no, treatment. It was because otherwise the stairs get totally overgrown with knotweed.
As it
So
does.
that's the only
Okay.
area is right next to the stairs that
Okay.
was cut this year.
Okay.
It's really important to our family to get the knotweed dealt with this fall because it's
I
more
totally
effective.
agree, that's why,
Oh,
but so the dead vegetation is the knotweed that was cut and is laying there and is dead, at least the tops of it.
Right.
But, So the stems are still intact and will be sufficient so that the kind of cutting and injecting can be done in the fall?
Correct.
Okay, all right.
All right, so the 28th?
Great.
Okay, we're ready.
Thank you very much. We're definitely
you.
excited
Thank you.
about doing it this fall.
I move that we continue 30 Sears Point Lane to August 28th, 2024 for an order of conditions.
Second.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I say aye.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you. So,
Thank you very
Paul,
much.
onward and upward.
I know.
Paul?
I'm here.
Okay, good. Just want to make
We're
sure.
moving on to the end of the agenda. COCs. First one, 65 Squano Drive. Judith and Scott Stewart, map 10C, parcels E16, DEP number SE10, 3376. Structural additions including deck, vestibule, generator, and 492 square feet of new plantings. The request is complete. Application was filled out properly, checklist completed, went to the site, photographs were submitted. There was an order issued in 2020 in January. It was amended in 2021 to reflect an increase in the mitigation for the vegetable rinse station and deck extension. I went out to the site in September of 2023 and met with the applicant's representatives and indicated at that time, based on what the mitigation looked like and the rest of the project, that they should go forward with the COC. They're doing that now. They're right on the cusp of the 3-year growing season, but I would recommend approving a full certificate in this case. Everything is in order, photographs, everything's been done as it should be done without belaboring it. It could go on for 10 minutes, but I don't think you want me to do that.
Great. Does anybody have any questions for Paul?
Beautiful.
Or anybody? We've got a representative here. Would you like to speak?
Hi, yes, just briefly, in case you have questions. Victoria Dalmas with Sandy and Associates. I'm an attorney. I represent the property owners, Scott and Judith Stewart. And I believe with me here is Keith Johnson of Blue Flax, also available should you have any questions. And the Stewarts may be here remotely, I'm not sure. But yes, they would very much appreciate, we are on the cusp. They do agree to continue maintenance of the mitigation and the invasive species. But they are engaging in retirement, and they would feel very much gracious if you could go ahead and grant the certificate of compliance.
Yeah, and always our ongoing conditions are that the invasive management and the mitigation will be continued to be maintained.
Yes, correct.
Okay, does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, the mitigation's beautiful there, and the delineation at the little one-rail fence was genius. Yeah, it looks beautiful.
Thank you.
This ended up being, this was a little bit of a tough road, this project. It went through a couple of different twists and turns before ending here, but at the end of the day, it seems to be very successful, so.
Yes, and we've had a great team work on the project, so I think that's,
all right,
speaks to that.
Great.
I had a
And-
quick question.
Go ahead.
Karen. How is the drain working out in the driveway?
My understanding is it's working quite well. I don't know if Keith wants to add anything. Do you want to come up and add anything on that?
You
No,
have
you
to go
can't.
to a mic. Sorry.
Too late.
Too late, you will be.
Get a close-up there, would you?
Yeah, zoom in. Go ahead.
Yeah, the drain in the driveway has been functioning as designed.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were some stormwater challenges.
Yes.
So glad that that's working well.
Okay, thank
We
you.
all are.
All right. Anything else? All right, Elise?
Then I am happy to move that we approve the certificate of compliance for 65 Squanto Drive.
Second.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I say aye. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much.
All right, Paul.
Okay, next certificate of compliance is address 15 Cove Hill Circle, Richard and Julia Quinn, map 13J, parcels G9, DEP number SE10 3386. This project was to demolish an old dwelling and rebuild a dwelling and install a swimming pool. Went out there yesterday. Looks magnificent. The this was a large project. I walked all around with the mitigation around the coastal bank. David Clark submitted the COC. The application is complete, checklist complete, as built. There were some issues with the mitigation. Some of the mitigation, one of the landscapers went in and a little bit of it was destroyed, but there's I think there's 2,200 square feet of mitigation that was designated. It all looked really good to me, with the exception, maybe David can get into it a little bit. The temporary irrigation is still up, but the project came out very nicely. Mitigation looks good, and they've met all the other requirements for their COC filing. So maybe perhaps David could chime in on that mitigation issue, but everything looked good. I'd recommend approving it.
Great. Okay, David.
David Clark, Clark Engineering, on behalf of the Quinns. I don't think the mitigation is a big issue in that this project resulted in 2,200 square feet reduction in the no disturb zone, and we put 1,800 back in the 50 to 100, so it was actual reduction in site coverage. I think aside from the mitigation, I think the Commission's biggest concern was the proximity of this project to the coastal bank and runoff, and that's why we heavily documented the drainage structures that went in, because that was the primary concern of the Commission, and they did what they were asked to do. Everything drains from the water side of the house around to the driveway and into infiltration pits. And then the second form of mitigation for this project was that conservation restriction, and that area has been fenced off so that there's no intrusions into that.
Great. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I was mixed up with the addresses. Well, Squanto was nice too, but this one really beautiful back there. It's, this is the one that has the little fence that goes along, right?
Yeah, that's where Harriet and Pete.
Yeah, looks.
And
Correct you on the
Jack
other
used
one.
to-
Yeah.
Great. All right, then we're ready for a motion.
I move that we approve the certificate of compliance for 15 Cove Hill Circle.
Second.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I say aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Paul?
Okay, I hope Thad's still there. The last one is 50 Horseshoe Lane.
He is.
Applicants Larry, Paul Merton, map 10D, parcel S7A, DEP number SE103482. Project maintenance and renovation of the exterior living space, including removal of invasive ivy, changing exterior surface from stone to fescue lawn, relocating a rinse station and installing a 7x7 spa, a timber wall and installation of a walkway in kind in the front yard with mitigation. Was out there yesterday. There's no as-built requirement here. There was an option for it, so he didn't actually submit one. Mitigation looks good. Stairway was done in kind, looks good. Lot and that documented everything with photographs. The order was issued in 2021, I believe. Dad, you had a typo in there, you said 24. The property owners have been monitoring the mitigation, with the exception of a few ferns that have been planted. The plants appear to be well established. They've included all their ongoing conditions, So they have met the requirements for a full COC unless Dad has something to offer or add to that.
Okay.
Assuming he's there.
Yes, Thad's here.
Of course he is.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Thad.
All right, for the record, Thad Aldridge, we submitted everything, and if there are questions, I'm happy to answer them.
That was important that you stay for that.
Absolutely, and Mr. Palmerton's here to answer questions as well, and
I just had a comment. I couldn't help but notice this mitigation is kind of like a formal bed. It has indigenous plants in it, but they're individual, separated, well-maintained, and it's been freshly mulched. So I didn't know, are we supposed to be pointing in that direction, or it's supposed to be naturalized? That's the only thing I could comment on that, you know?
Well, as it gets older, hopefully it'll fill in more.
It won't, it will when they stop mulching it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to, so I don't know, I mean, at least they're indigenous plants. I mean, that's certainly on the right side, but I just don't think they're supposed to be, maintained, weeded, and mulched continuously. Maybe if you could just let it go a little bit. I know it might be hard, because you probably invested a lot of money in it.
Yeah, the problem is the invasives always pop back up. As Shannon alluded to, it's ongoing. But I agree.
Yeah, I can imagine it's hard if the invasives keep popping up, not to want to pull everything out.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay. Anything else? All right, then I think we're ready for a motion.
And I move we approve the certificate of compliance for 50 Horseshoe Lane.
second.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I say aye.
all righty, glad I could help.
Thank you. All right,
Thank you. Now you're on to minutes, Madam Chair, May 30th, 2024.
yep, and I think my one correction was made, which is that I was on virtually. That was my one and only correction to it. Are there any other corrections?
I made a change because I was both attending and absent.
Yes.
And I was actually attending, so I fixed that one.
Oh,
Yeah. Saw that. Anything else?
no.
Then I think we can do a motion.
I move we approve the minutes for May 30th, 2024 as revised.
Second.
Cheryl?
Abstain.
That's right. Yep.
Present.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And Bob? You can vote on minutes.
Aye.
And I say aye. So those are approved. Anything else, Paul?
No, Madam Chair, Commissioners, I don't have any unforeseen items to bring before the commission unless some of the commissioners do.
Does anybody have anything else to bring up? No? Then we can entertain a motion.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And I say aye.
Oh, we actually didn't do
Thank
bad.
you,
Nora.
Commissioners. Yep.
It's not bad.
Hasta luego.